Hello everyone. On today's video, we're going to be finishing up our little Cold War scenario series here. I think 5 parts is more than enough for our purposes, and it's going to be the time that we kind of wrap this scenario up and start thinking about some other bigger and better things. A few of you in the comments have been mentioning things along the lines of doing kind of like a modern scenario. I think I have just the project, but I'm going to be saving that for next week. I'm not going to try to even touch that one until I finish this. Remember, never start something that you don't finish. One of the mistakes I always make is doing like 50 projects at once and never finishing any of them. Always see something through to its end. That's going to teach you how to make your projects more realistic. At the same time, there's always that sense of accomplishment, even if it's something minor. So anyway, our scenario right now is looking really, really good. We've got a really, really well-balanced set of Russian forces that are coming here to ruin Los Angeles. One of the fun comments that I think I was reading about was the fact that, at this point, your rules of engagement, pretty much anything goes. But, sometimes it's fun to make things challenging. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start setting things up so that they're designed for actual scenario play. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to USAF, and I'm going to make sure it is one of the ones that we can use. Red Force is going to be computer only. Civil is going to be computer only, meaning only can be selected from the USAF. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my doctrine rules of engagement, and I'm going to limit what they have control over. I'm actually going to take away some of the stuff over here. If they want to engage ambiguous targets, fine. If they want to ignore a plotted course, I usually set this yes default, but I'll let the player control that one as well. MCON, all these other things are things that we can definitely go through. One thing I will want to change here, it's just for the sake of sanity here. We'll go ahead and bring that in. We'll go ahead and design it so that units can leave group. We'll go ahead and use air-to-air guns. Again, this is just being fair for our players. Rules state they can leave the group rather than bring the whole group with them. This means you're going to have a much faster turnaround. We don't need that one. We don't need that one. Crank and drag if possible. Of course, at this time, we didn't have any air-to-air weapons that you can actually use for this purpose. So in this case, follow missile straight in. Coming over on this side of things, that looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Shortest route, that looks pretty good. All these look pretty good. MCON settings, I'll let the player choose those. But one thing we do want to be considering is if there's anything up here that we can't let them have control over. So that looks pretty good, and that looks pretty good, and that looks pretty good. All right, so at this point, I'm happy with the way that the particular settings have been generated here. One problem I am going to have, though, is if you take a look, my Russian bombers did spawn in. So if I save the game as it is, every time I load this game now, you're going to get a really, really fun surprise because all the bombers are still going to be there, and then you're going to get a bunch more bombers. So it's just one of those little things that it's like, I wish that wasn't an issue here, but you got to be careful with that because that will happen to you plenty of times, trust me. I'm just going to confirm on my OOB I don't have anything. Excellent. So let's go back over to the USAF. Let's go ahead and resave real quickly. And now my doctrine is the way I want it to be. The last step I need to be considering here is what I'm going to be doing as far as my events goes. So I'm going to go to editor. I'm going to go to event editor. I'm going to go up to events. Whoops. I'm going to go up to events. Take us on in. We'll go ahead and edit selected. One thing I do want to do, though, is I want to go back to my bombers at go-go, edit my thing real quick. For whatever reason, that needed this little bombers place message box in order to work properly. I'm just going to get rid of that. It doesn't mean anything because, like I said, once the scenario is executed, it's good to go. We do not need this to be repeatable, but for our purposes and sanity, I'm going to leave it as repeatable, even though it can only happen one time. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and set up our little detection and scoring and all that other good stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to events. I'm going to create myself a new event. I'm going to say bomber downed. It is a repeatable event for sure. We don't need to show this in the event log. It looks a little weird because your event log down here, by the way, if I show this, you'll see that it starts to show all these different elements starting to appear. It's just a little strange. If anything, I'm actually going to clean that out real fast because it is a little weird. Okay, so the first things first is that we need to add ourselves a trigger. Obviously, we don't need to check the scenarios working, but one thing we should probably check for is if a unit was destroyed. So I'm going to go ahead and add this one. I'm going to call it a bomber downed. We're going to switch this to red force. We're going to go ahead and say type is aircraft, and I don't need a subtype or anything like that. It's just not critical. Cool. I'm going to go ahead and close this out. I'll go ahead and add this in. All right, so we're saying if a bomber was downed and the scenario has started. I believe that's with this one. Yeah. Scenario is go. Of course, we don't want to be losing bombers before a scenario actually starts. Go ahead and set scenarios go. And then we just go ahead and add our little action down here. So let's go ahead and edit actions. I'm going to go ahead and create a new one. I'll call it points. Boop. And I'm going to call it, let's see here. I'm just trying to do the math real quickly here. Let's call it bomber was shot down. No, that's actually too specific. Add 1 point. I know that sounds a little weird as far as bomber points goes. Like you're sitting there going, but I shot down a bomber. Fun fact, none of the bombers that were launched at us will ever see the Soviet Union again. Bad news, this is a one-way mission, so there's really no point in rewarding players for destroying bombers other than protecting their cities, which is where the important part of the scenario is actually going to be here. Whoops, forgot to actually press save there. Add 1 point. Go ahead and say United States Air Force. And we're going to go add 1 point. I know that sounds a little anticlimactic, but it actually makes sense. So I'm going to go ahead and click down here and add 1 point. Boop. So now if I shoot down a bomber and the scenario is running, I'm going to add 1 point. I know that seems like, that's not that great. It's not nearly as bad as you think. Let's go ahead and clone this. And let's go ahead and edit this. And this time we're going to edit the triggers. We'll go ahead and clone this trigger as well. But we're going to edit this one and call it USAF plane destroyed. We'll set this to United States Air Force. We're going to set this to aircraft. I'm not going to get into subtypes or anything like that. If we want to be specific, we could set it to fighter and everything like that. But I really don't find that to be particularly critical for what we're doing real quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. You can see a USAF plane destroyed. I'm just going to delete that one, bring this one in, boop. And I'm going to go ahead and remove that selected, leaving just USAF plane destroyed. Now I'm going to get rid of this add 1 point and actually bring in a -1 point. Again, in an absolute emergency, losing 1 point isn't really that big of a deal. But it also lets you discover just how efficient you can be with the scenario. I'm going to call it lose 1 point. I'm going to go to side United States Air Force, set it to -1 points, press the OK button there. Go ahead and swap this one out, make sure that you actually do things correctly. And let's go ahead and add remove point. Let's check it. USA plan, scenario is going, lose 1 point, repeatable, does not need to be shown in the log. So I'm going to call that aircraft loss, USAF aircraft lost. Okie doke. So now we have our USA aircraft lost. We have a bomber downed. Now it's for the big important part here. I'm going to go ahead and create a new event from scratch here. Edit triggers. We're going to create a new one. We're going to do unit is destroyed, city raised. I'm going to call it raised today to be a little politically correct. I'm going to grab civil. I'm going to grab facility, and that's as much work as I need to do here. I don't need to do structure open or anything like that. So city raised. Now this is the most important trigger that we have. City destroyed. Let's go ahead and bring this one in. What this one means is we lost a city. Losing a city is the worst thing that can happen. Killing 1 million bombers is nothing to losing the population of one city. So when we set up our point values, we'll design it so that our points are seriously penalized if we lose a city. Some of you are probably saying, shouldn't we add points if we don't lose a city? This is more of a scenario of how successful you can be with reducing losses as opposed to creating losses. So keep that in mind. I'm going to go ahead and create scenarios go. That looks pretty good to me. And we're going to go ahead and edit actions. Let's create an action points, create new action. Subtract points. Subtract, we'll do 100. Now that seems like a little extreme, but realistically, like I said, losing all of your airplanes is nothing to losing a single city with all the millions and millions of inhabitants in it. So I'm going to go ahead and go like this, subtract 100 points, add, press OK. So now we have our bomber downed, city destroyed, scenario started, and aircraft lost things. The only thing we need now is we need to go ahead and create our win or lose conditions here. So let's go ahead and take a look real fast. I'm going to go under event editor, make sure everything is where I expect it to be. I'm going to go over, check my thing real quickly, edit scoring. Here it is. So here's how we determine whether or not we won our scenario here. We're done with events for now. I'll come back to that in a minute. So disaster is -100. Triumph is going to be 100. It's not really possible to get 100 points here. The most we can do is shoot down 10 bombers. So if we get 10, we've done a really, really nice job here. A major and a minor victory would be, that's actually pretty respectively decent. Disaster would be anything less than, I feel, 200 points. I know that sounds like a weird kind of scenario here, but realistically it makes pretty sense. If we lose a single city, we probably did okay. If we lose 2 cities, we probably done goofed. On the flip side, if we just lost a bunch of airplanes, even though our score is negative, we probably did a decent job with this particular scenario. So I'm going to go ahead and save my scenario one more time. Go ahead and minimize that. Just want to confirm something real quick. Good, I'm not going crazy. All right, so now we're going to bring in a you lost the game scenario. You lost the game. This is pretty easy. This one does not need to be repeatable. So I'm going to go ahead and add a new trigger. Edit triggers, new trigger. I'm going to do side points, and I'm going to say you lost too many cities. So we'll say United States Air Force falls under 199 points. Oop, -199. I almost made that mistake. My students do that to me all the time. All right, so we're going to say you lost too many cities. We're going to say scenario has been started. Obviously, we can't lose cities until the scenario starts. And then we're going to go ahead and edit actions. We're going to create a new one called message. And we're going to go ahead and say something naughty to the players. A message. You lost the game. Good going. I'm going to say side is United States Air Force. Message. Too many cities were destroyed. Think of the losses. This is truly a day. This is truly today remembered in infamy. Good enough. All right, again, you can modify that any which way you want. I think that's perfectly fine the way it is. I'm not going to change it. Did I forget to click OK? Yeah, I'm pretty good. All right, let's go down here. You lost the game, good going. So if we run too low on points, it's going to trigger this you lost the game, good going. I'm going to press OK now. So now we need one more, and that's if we win the game. Now, this is interesting, and this is going to require a little bit of thinking on our part here. So if you remember, our bombers start from 200 miles away. So if we manage to exceed, let's see, the bombers are traveling, 270 is the slowest. 400 divided by 270 is going to get us 1.4 hours. So this scenario cannot ever possibly mathematically exceed 2 hours. So here's how you fix that. So I'm going to go into events. I'm going to create a new event. I'm going to say time elapsed, you won. You won. So I'm going to go ahead and go in here and create myself a new trigger. I'm going to create a new one called time. Create new trigger. Time is end. So, of course, our current time is 8:30 in the morning. 9:30 will be 10:30. But remember, we're interested in Zulu time here. So Zulu time would be 17:30, 18:30. So by 18:30, if we've managed to defeat everything, or we haven't lost any cities, we've clearly won the scenario. So I'm going to press the OK button. Come down here. I'm going to set this new one that says time is end. I know that sounds really mathematically correct there. And then we're going to go ahead and say win scenario. Let's go ahead and create ourselves a new message. You won the scenario. Excellent work. Commander, many lives were saved due to your efforts. I'm going to press OK. We're going to go ahead and add ourselves a, let's see here, we'll call it an end scenario action. That's all we need it to be, end the scenario. Awesome. So now we're going to come down here. We're going to go ahead and do our little message real quick. You won the scenario, and we're going to also add in our end the scenario condition. So now when we run out of time, if somehow we're able to defeat every bomber in 2 hours, we're ready to rock. Otherwise, scenarios go. This looks pretty good. Let me just confirm real quick that the you lost the game makes sense. I actually have to make the scenario end also. Press OK. Now, one thing I will do is I'll come up to Scenario Editor, and I'll change my time, because right now it lasts for 1 day. You don't need to do that. 3 hours is more than enough. On account of the fact, like I said, the scenario is only 2.5 hours long. So I'm going to go ahead and save it, and the last thing we need to do today is we just need to test it to make sure it works okay. So let's go ahead and fire that sucker up. You can see all the bombers spawned in. I am ready to rock. Okay, so here's what we're testing here. We're going to be testing our scoring. We're going to be testing everything. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create myself the world's most aggressive ADIZ. I'm not going to go too far out to sea here because it just doesn't make sense. We're going to go like this. We're going to say ADIZ kill zone. Set this to withdrawal, set this AAW, and I'm going to launch everybody. That just sounds like fun. All right, let's grab every aircraft that we have in existence. We're going to launch them. We're going to send them in individual aircraft. I know that sounds absurd, but that spreads out how many aircraft that I have. Attack throttle, you got to go as fast as you possibly can. Station throttle, you can cruise around. Again, this is not the most optimum way to win this scenario, but for my particular purposes for testing, this is going to be more than enough to kind of get things rolling. So I'm going to go ahead and declare all these as hostile, declare this one, declare that one as hostile. Go ahead and unpause, and now we're pretty much ready to rock. Speed up time a little bit here. You notice my bow mark sites are immediately working this out. This is the one downside to identifying things. All right, let the games begin. I think we're going to lose a city pretty much right away. But, that's the nice thing about random elements is you have very, very little control here. All right, here comes the bombers. Apparently, we're getting hammered in the south here more than we're getting hammered in the north. Of course, many of you may point out the fact that the bombers wouldn't come from the south. Oh, no. Literally, we're about to lose this scenario. We're going to have to modify our scenario, I think, to make that a little bit more fair, because as it stands, that's just not fair. Now, the interesting thing is, if you actually take a look at my scoring right now, you'll see that I am at 3 points. Woohoo! I'm about to get minus 100 points. Please be a dud. Nope. That ended terribly. So look at my scoring now. There's absolutely no possible way I can win the scenario. I'm already at minus 94 points. Ah! All right, here comes all my guys. My Bowmark crews are doing the best they can under the circumstances. Keep in mind, this is the least optimum way to do this scenario, but at the very least, it'll be enough to kind of make things interesting for us. Oop, we got some more hostiles coming from the north. As long as we don't lose one more city, we're perfectly fine here. It seems like we needed a lot more attention to the south. I'm going to have to edit my algorithm there, because right now it doesn't make sense in the south. Look at how many airplanes are coming after that one guy. Oop, we got another one. I don't know how that one got through, but that happens sometimes. It's going to get through. There's an Ajax launch right there. No, we lose. Boom. Ah! Game. And of course, that ends the scenario automatically. So now our scenario can no longer continue. Okay, so there's a couple of things we're gonna have to change here because I love this, I really do, but it's not fair. It's just simply not fair. All the bombers come from too wide of an area, making it basically impossible to win the scenario safely. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go in and change my algorithm for generating the bombers to make them appear more a more logical arc, pretty much this arc up here. That seems to me to make a little bit more sense. So I'm going to go under my special actions. Oh, I don't have a special action here. I'm going to go to events. I'm going to go to actions. I'm going to go find my, let's say, bombers a go. And you can see right now that we're going from a range from 0 to 360 degrees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do minus 90 to positive 90. Let's go ahead and press OK here. Go ahead and close my scenario, save. All right, let's reopen the scenario and see what happens this time. Yeah, see how they're all concentrated in the north as opposed to concentrated in the south? That is a much, much easier scenario to win now. So let's go ahead and try the scenario one more time. See if this is even possible. I know this is crazy, but hey, we're going to make the best of it. Let's see, they're going to come from about that far. All right, let's grab everybody. Intercepted. Let's do a patrol. We'll do AAW. Press the OK button. Oh, I love doing that. Hey. Oh, you're new to command. Here, let me show you how to break things. Go ahead and add everybody. We're going to go ahead and do it like this. We're going to do individual fighters, as absurd as it sounds, to spread everybody out as much as possible. I'll allow them to engage things outside of our contact, and obviously they're going to be attacking at maximum speed. All right, let's go ahead and close that out, and fingers crossed that we do okay here. Go ahead and unpause, and we already got plenty of targets. I know our Bomar crews are working them out right now. And there go the Bomarks. Too bad they didn't use the nuclear Bomarks and use the old school Bomarks. We're getting free points here. And we've already got one to the north, but no, we don't have any crazy ones coming out of Mexico this time. So at least this time we have a chance. And we got some more hostiles coming from that direction. Got a few more coming from that direction over there as well. Notice how everybody instinctively changes their position as soon as the new orders come in. Bomar crews are earning their pay. Oh no, one's going to get through. All right, I need you to do that. Attack that guy before it gets through. I can't lose anybody this time. Hey, we did it. Yep, they're all definitely coming from the north here. Come on, Bomarks. Come on, Bomarks. Sounds dirty. Oh, do you even Bomark? All right, here comes these interceptors. They're running in. All right, come on, guys. You can do it. You can do it. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We're doing okay so far. We're doing okay so far. Now, remember, I changed their doctrine to be a little bit more, I don't want to call it intelligent, but it's going to work a little bit better here. It looks like one of the Ajax batteries is joining our fight here. Yeah, he's already fired. He's hit him one. Ooh, splattered. Oh, somebody's getting through. Thank God for guns. Is all I got. Oh my gosh, he's still alive. We might lose this scenario again. Oh, we just made it. All right, we're not done yet, though. Now, had we sent everybody out with a wingman, we would have lost this fight because they would have been too spread out. All right, 2 are coming through. Imagine what this looks like to the air defense board here. Everybody's standing in there. All the little pucksters are pushing the little, bomber icons kind of across everything, going, I don't know if this is going to work. All right, my Ajax battery, you guys have got the duty. Come on, Ajax. Uh-oh, that's not good. Somebody's going to get through. Yeah, there it is. They had a little divine intervention. Shh. Looks like there's one bomber left. I'm going to grab this one and order these guys to attack. Couple F-89s. Going to surprise this guy. Looks like we have a couple more in the far... we just lost them. Stay with him. Let me grab this guy too. Could you guys do something about him, please? Keep in mind, we launched every aircraft we had at our disposal for this particular mission here. Nice. Now, here's the fun thing. Then you attack with a Russian second wave, so there's absolutely no way that you could possibly win this scenario. Oh, okay. You guys all need to get up there and wreck this guy. Just go. It'll take you a second. Nice. I think we won the scenario. All right, let me speed up time here and make sure everything worked properly. Everybody's desperately running back to base. I think we did it. I think we may have won. Yes. Nice. I'm actually kind of glad this worked exactly like I hoped it would. Okay, so that works pretty well. We lost quite a few aircraft here. It looks like 8. That's going to be 13, 14 aircraft total. We went through all of our bow marks. We went through a whopping 2,000 Mark IV Mighty Mouse rockets, 2.5-inch rockets. Went through a few sidewinders, good amount of machine guns. Over on this side of things, the Army. Oh, come on, Army. Help us out here. On the Russian side of things, they lost 38 bombers, and they went through an awful lot of Nudelman Riker 23 millimeter rounds and bursts. And they got one nuclear bomb off, but apparently that nuclear bomb must have been jettisoned, because otherwise it wouldn't have been able to, because it didn't hit anything, that's for sure. All right, folks, hopefully you enjoyed this scenario, series, I should say. I thought it was a lot of fun to build it. I'll provide a link in the little description below for people who want to try this one out themselves. There's really a lot to this from a strategy perspective. Obviously, the strategy I picked was not the best. It's much, much better to do it by sector, and I hate to say it, the word is micromanage. I know most people hate that concept, and I do too, but that's going to be the way to beat this scenario. Other than that, I think our next scenario will basically be a more modern scenario, I should say, and I'm looking pretty much like an amphibious invasion of India or something along those lines. I think you can probably guess who our two combatants are going to be in that one. Other than that, enjoy.